So what I was saying, consider like an Instagram app, uh, like the features that you use on day-to-day basis, right? What if, what if suddenly the like button moved in a way, or posting a picture took like a 10 step instead of currently 2 3 steps, right? You open the camera, you click a picture, and you can directly post it in a way. So it's like a 3 steps now. Let's say if it is a 10-step journey next on meaningful steps in a way. What if the like button is moved to some other place? Or has it happened with you, like you suddenly found in certain situation where something things has moved or things has changed? What was your reaction was like? Instagram तो काफी चेंज हुआ है ना, as in the day it started. Or Instagram, just saying for an example, you can take as a Snapchat, Facebook, Google, WhatsApp. Yeah, it is difficult to adopt the sudden change, and that is uh, gives rise to this usability evaluation or usability study. Okay, this is where basically the one we use on a daily basis. Yeah. So basically, we usually get frustrated and might even sometimes some users might even stop using the app, they delete the app, and then the game is finished for your app, right? So this is where the usability evaluation comes in, and it's all about ensuring that the product is easy to use and meets the needs of its user in a way. Okay, so usability evaluation, composed of qualitative and quantitative research, is a process of assessing the user friendliness of a system or a product and whether or not it satisfies user needs. So, for what things usability evaluation required? What do you guys say? What are the things that are worth testing out in a way? So I would say almost everything that you do, every change actually requires a usability study. Okay. Why usability study? Because we don't want to come across like, okay, user ने app ही delete कर दिया भाई. User is not user. We confuse user, and user then again is not coming back to our on our platform. So before going live, we need to do usability study. I've seen a lot of startups do not usually do usability studies, and they basically learn from their customers when they launch it. But sometimes it backfires in a way like once the customer lose any particular trust, it becomes difficult to get their trust again, as in have deleted particular app and how much time it, let's say, took for you to again reinstall that particular app after you deleted it. So the goal is for to simplify process, boost efficiency, or raising awareness of a specific feature. Okay. So what are the method for usability evaluation? Yeah. So let's see this method. One is usability testing. The most common form of usability evaluation is known as the process of evaluating a system or product with target users, gathering their actions, body language, and behavior. Okay. This method is basically direct and user centric. Ekdam direct. Okay. So basically, if you are testing a new app or new feature, something like that, you would just gather some people, which will be your basically called as a sample size, and you will just observe how they are interacting with it. Uh, just note down their actions that they are taking, note down their body language and behavior. Okay. Next is usability inspection. In this approach, experts evaluate an interface without involving the user. Okay. Common types include heuristic evaluation and cognitive walkthrough. Okay. So as it says, it does not involve user directly. Okay. Directly nahi hai. Let's say usability testing is like you test it with the people itself. Here it is not direct. Okay. Instead, the expert evaluates the interface. Okay, who are these experts? You are the experts, right? Because you knows what are the heuristic evaluation, like heuristics are over there. So you would compare this website, compare the app or website based on the heuristics. And I hope you guys know what is heuristic evaluation. Okay, like all the things that we saw, like uh, the UX principle, usability principle, psychological principle, those are called heuristic evaluation. Heuristic evaluation UX. So this is from this Nelson Norman group itself. So you can I'll just open this website. क्या हो गया इसको? I'll just paste it out on the chat. So in offline, you can go through these heuristics. Very easy to understand, very simple. They have given the examples also. So you can just go through those. And so once you know all of these heuristics of a user interface, you basically becomes an expert and you evaluate a particular product, okay, on the heuristics. And then you provide a particular uh, report on the on your inspection. Okay. The next one is usability inquiry. So this process works to understand users' thoughts regarding a product, but without involving testing. Okay. यहाँ पे यूजर है, यहाँ पे यूजर मिसिंग है, यहाँ पे टेस्टिंग मिसिंग है. Okay, without involving testing. Instead, user feedback is collected through method likes interviews, focus group, surveys, or field observation. Simple, eh? It's like sometimes it's about understanding the user's thought without actual testing. Because testing में क्या होता है ना, user already become very cautious. So whenever we do a usability testing with like usability testing method, user try to read everything whatever we have given on the given in the on the screen or flow. User try to read everything so that it he is always conscious that he should not look like a fool to not to understand a particular app or particular flow whatever we are showing, right? So these are the cons of a usability testing. So that's why usability inquiry sometimes helps. Okay. So usually you provide a survey form. You can just interviews like a normal interview. You would just ask about their experiences when they are going through a particular process. Did they understand? Didn't understand? You can have a focus group like the way I was asking you the questions initially, right? And some of you just told me their stories of what they find good and why they didn't like something, and they just how then they just deleted the app and all of those things. This kind of a interviews that if we take or if you take like if you do this kind of a study, then sometimes we get a meaningful feedback or like a real life feedback in a way. Okay. So basically, we gather feedback through surveys or interviews about what user thinks of a, let's say, new design without them actually using it in a way. Okay. So sometimes they do not have to use also. You can just throw out the idea as well. Okay. And then you can just think about what they think about those ideas. Let's go to the next one. Okay. What are the best practices? Okay. So in usability evaluation, uh, the best practices includes are like test early and often. Okay. Use both qualitative and quantitative research. Recruit a diverse range of users. Okay. Also has have some users with the accessibility, uh, like with some disability, so you will get a good range of feedback in a way. And consider both moderated and unmoderated testing. Moderated matlab you are monitoring it in a way. Unmoderated means basically no one is looking at them or something like that. For example, actually Netflix continuously test features with diverse user groups worldwide. Even Amazon, like we usually test with the diverse users, like it's a worldwide testing, we call it. Okay, to ensure that the smooth experience across the cultures and the regions. Okay, so even on Netflix or either on Amazon, if you go into settings and if you just change the country, you would see a different experience altogether. So what you see in India is not same as in what you would see in, let's say, US, UK, Middle East, and all of these places. Okay, so it depends on their region, culture, things changes. So these are the best practices. Simple: test early and often. Test early as in as early as possible. Do not go for the development without having a certain kind of usability testing. Either do heuristic evaluation, do certain usability testing. Usability, this particular inquiry also you can do. I haven't done such kind of a process. I have done surveys and like I think I have done the surveys, but I haven't done like without testing any particular uh, like without uh, like without getting out any particular product to the user. I haven't done any particular testing without that. Okay, so I have done usability testing and usability inspection you have to do for every project, I would say. So do both qualitative and quantitative research, recruit diverse range of users, consider both moderated and non-moderated testing. Okay. Now let's see types of usability. I think yeah, we will go in detail about this. So let's see what is moderated and unmoderated usability testing. Okay. A moderated testing session is administered in person and or remotely by a trained researcher. Okay, who introduces the test to participant, answers their queries, and asks follow-up questions. Moderated testing usually produces in-depth result thanks to the direct interaction between the researchers and test participant, but can be expensive to organize and run. I usually do the moderated testing a lot, and yes, it is expensive. We sometimes hire an agency who hires users for us, and it's basically you would provide the types of users you want in your usability testing. Then you will have a, let's say, in person or remote like on call testing, and there you will have an interview. There you will basically have uh, a conversation with your users. Okay, so this is like basically having a uh, guided walk through let's say new app or new features, anything, whatever you want to test in a way. Okay, and it is expensive because it is intensive. Unmoderated usability testing. Uh, Unmoderated test is done without direct supervision. Okay, so imagine like uh, testing an app at home on your own device without anyone guiding you. Okay, so this is like in a real setup, in real situation, user is using your app on his own device itself, and he does not know, he's not getting guided by anyone in a way. So he's free to use his app whichever way he wants, in whichever state he wants in a way. Okay, this method is cheaper but might result in less detailed feedback. Okay, because user usually use the app and then at the end he gives his feedback. Whether in moderated one, you can usually can ask questions on uh, about a particular screen or particular flow. After he went through, you can again tell him to go through this particular flow again and just talk it out, what are the thoughts in your mind and all of those things. So that is the difference between moderated and unmoderated. Okay, so as it says, participant might be in lab, but it's more like, acha, here it says participant might be in lab, but it can be user can be in home also, as in it does not matter. Okay. but it's more likely they are in their own home, in their own home and or using their own devices to browse the website that is being tested. Browse the website, or in our case, we usually test out the apps. Okay. The cost of unmodered testing is lower. However, participant answers can remain superficial and follow-up questions are impossible. Like there cannot be any follow-up questions, na? क्योंकि वो if he's in lab, then maybe you can have some interaction with him. But if it is in home, it's just using the app in his regular way, and then you are asking the question. So it depends on if he remembers the question. Once you would do this now unmodered test, usually you can do it at your home also. Like if your mom and dad is using the app, let's say if they're paying a bill, okay, after they paid a bill, you can ask them questions or you can have their interviews in a way. Okay, and then you can think about, then you can just analyze if they remember what they actually did, they can recollect some of the flows and things like that. All right, next one is remote versus in person usability testing. Remote usability tests are done over the internet or by phone. This is as simple as it can get, right? Remote testing does not go as deep into a participant reasoning, but it allows you to test large numbers of people in different geographical areas using fewer resources. Okay. So basically perfect for when you want to gather feedback from user uh, with the different locations. In a way. Okay, then that location can be like in India there are a lot of locations, like there are a lot of places and they are culturally diverse. Even in they're diverse in their uh, thought process also, or the way they use a particular product also, like metro cities or the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities, they all have a different mindset, mentality, the spending power and all of those things. So if you want to get the feedback from all of this kind of people, then the remote usability testing is uh, easier, as well as it, no, I won't say it is cheaper in a way, but it easier to get if your intention is to get the diverse feedback. Okay. So for example, we usually do a Chime call. Chime is the internal product to Amazon, or you can do a Zoom call. Okay. And you would be basically testing out your product. In-person usability testing. In-person testing, as the name suggests, requires a test to be completed in a physical presence of a UX researcher and moderator. This also we do, like we do as in most of the companies, this is also a way to do a usability testing. However, in-person testing is usually expensive and time consuming. Expensive is also because you have to spend on that particular user. You have to arrange for him to come to your place. You have to book the place, and you have to give him some something, right? Because he's spending his time. So that's why it becomes expensive and time consuming. Yeah, you have to find a suitable space, block out a specific dates, recruit and pay. Yeah, this is what you will always give something. We usually give Amazon gift card. So whenever you get such a chance, there is a perk to it. Okay, and go for the Amazon usability testings. Recruit participant. Yeah, that's it. I think maybe in a in a physical product, let's say, usually in-person usability testing is more important. Let's say you come up with some, for example, let's say healthcare device. Okay, uh, you want that device, you want to understand how user would use that device. In that case, your users might be doctor also, right? If you just say, if you just come up with a new scalpel which is get user means your doctor usually use it for a surgery. Okay, you cannot test it out on a call. कैसा रहा, कट हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा है, that way you have to see how a doctor is using that particular product, right? Even let's say a coffee maker, let's say if you make, you want to test it out with user, so you will always call user to in house, and you will just give him to just interact with that particular product by themselves. So there you cannot do remote usability testing. So these particular product sets becomes a good contender for the in-person usability testing. In our field, usually remote usability testing works, but if it is in-person, that also gives you better feedback, I would say. Next one is explorative versus assessment versus comparative testing. Okay. Explorative usability testing. Explorative tests are open-ended. Participants are asked to brainstorm, give options, and express emotional impressions about ideas and concept. Help researcher pinpoint gaps in the market, identify potential new features, and workshop new ideas. Okay, this is also pretty straightforward. It's more of open-ended, okay, and ideal for brainstorming. Usually do it at the early stage of your product. I would say think of early days of uh, uh, a watch, a fitness watch uh, that was getting into shape, right? Let's say forget about the Apple Watch also. Before Apple Watch, how was the industry? So at that particular time, it was more open-ended, right? Now though we also understand when we buy a fitness app, what are the features or functionalities we should expect from that particular watch, right? But in early days, it is more exploratory, right? We wouldn't know, okay, what user actually wants. We would always try it out. Okay, this type of a, let's say, calorimeter if it is helpful, or let's say step walk like algorithm for to understand how many steps user step count for user, if it is helpful or not, or like burning calories while dancing, or burning calories while gymming, or doing certain kind of activities, if it is helpful for user or not, what are the ways, and all of those things. The early stage of creating a particular fitness watch is was actually a like exploratory test, usability test are more often used. Now also we are in era where the like the AR and VR vision, like vision consoles and all of those things are in a exploratory usability testing, right? We currently as a user also don't know what to expect from those devices, and what are the values that we will get from those devices, right? So in this particular, when you find certain situation like this, the explorative usability testings are more common, where you can basically identify new features, new potential gaps in the market. The next you assessment usability testing. Okay. Assessment research is used to test a user's satisfaction with a product. Okay. And how well they are able to use it. It's used it used to evaluate the product's general functionality. So assessment usability testing would be done by in-person usability testing, right? But the purpose of testing is the assessment, okay, not the exploration. Exploration तो हो गया, हमारे पास product है, okay. Now we have to see how users are using it. Google usually use this method to, whenever they launch any particular thing, they just uh, launch it for few users, or they launch it like this is the new way to do these things. Like so recently they changed their login system, right? The method of login in a way, or the design for the login. So they usually do like assessment usability testing, and then they basically launch it for the wider audience. Currently, Figma is also like there is a new UI from Figma. So you must have seen they have restored some of the features that they had changed, right? to the previous one itself. So that is more of like an assessment they are doing with their features. Though they are launched it for, they haven't launched it for the all the users also, right? It is on first they started with some of the user, and then there is a participatory or voluntarily you can also use those feature, or maybe you can go back to the old version as well. So that is where they are doing the assessment usability testing. The next one is comparative usability testing. Comparative research method involve asking users to choose which of the two solutions they prefer. Okay. This is also called as a preference test also. I usually call it as a preference test. So what they prefer, based on that, we basically go ahead, or we just get to understand the direction that we should move ahead. So we can quickly do a preference. This is very quick to do in a way. Okay. And they are used to compare a website with its primary competitors. Again, it depends. It You can compare it with your competitors, or maybe you can have two options which you want to compare in a way. So it depends. Okay. um Comparative would be, again, as we talk about, right? Somebody was saying they were using Spotify, but then Spotify, then there was a comparison between YouTube Music and Spotify itself, right? What do you like and what do you don't like, and all of those things. So that is like a comparative testing. You are actually comparing two things. Okay. And this method also has their perks, like you can understand the user preference clearly, based on pros and cons of those two products. And you can see who are voting for cons, who are voting for pros, and which product is getting better preference than the two options. It's like, अगर दोनों में cons है, still which product is much better than the other one, that we usually gets from the comparative analysis, or which are the cons that user would not want, like it is better to have थोड़ा गंदा हो ऐप, that is better than ये वाला feature which is very really really bad feature. User sometimes compare on those basis also. Now with those types that we saw, we have this user testing method is like a permutation combination of those, the earlier that we saw. Okay. So, okay. So we have categorized it in this moderated, in person, moderated, remote, and all of this category. Let's see how they are. Okay. Moderated and in person, we usually call this as a lab test or gorilla test. Okay. You would not be calling your test in a way like moderated in person or something like that. You can directly say, when you say lab usability testing, then you understand like it's a moderated and in person, because it says like lab usability testing. So this type of usability research takes place inside a specially built usability testing lab. Okay, it sounds like कोई scientific room होगी. It's not. It's a conference room. You can take. You can get your not a conference or whatever the room you have. You can take that, and you can just ask your user to come and do the usability testing. Guerrilla testing, it's a quick way to collect large amount of qualitative data that validates a certain design elements and functionality. So this particular technique, yeah, correct. That is the one. So guerrilla testing is like whenever it says moderated in person, but it's not in the lab in a way. Okay, guerrilla testing is like, let's say if you can just go on the road and you can ask any particular random person uh, about their app they are using, or you can just give them your app and you can ask them to use it, and then you do a testing. That is like user mind is not conditioned in a way. Like usually what happens when you ask user to come to a lab usability testing, their minds are prepared, like whatever you will give them, they will read everything. But in actual word, we usually glance over the screens, right? We usually do not read each and every text that comes along on our way on every screen. But in lab usability testing, you will find your users reading all of those things and then only moving to the next steps and all. Okay, sometimes this happens. So guerrilla testing works whenever you can directly, like depending on the app also, and where you want to conduct that, where your app usually get most used. Based on that, you can do this guerrilla testing. You can visit someone's home also, and you can ask them some question if they're using, if your product is get used inside home, if your product gets, let's say Uber, if you're working for Uber, you won't be doing the lab testing in a way, like might not work in a way. So guerrilla testing might work over there, whether when users are actually calling for cabs or something, you can ask them question. You can give your prototype to test it out. Instead of Uber, you are creating a competitor of Uber. You can just ask them to just work on this particular prototype, and you can question them, and you can conduct this guerrilla testing. Basically, that is called as a guerrilla testing. The another similar testing with the guerrilla testing, I'm not sure about it. Let's see if it comes along with this. Okay. Second column is moderated and remote. Okay. So whenever you are taking phone interviews, that is moderated, but they are remote, right? Because you are on phone and interviewing someone. So it is pretty simple in a way. Card sorting, it involves placing of concept on virtual note cards and allowing participant to manipulate the cards into groups and categories. Again, card sorting can be done remote, can so card sorting, I would not just put it in the moderated and remote, but it can come into moderated in person also. It's a card sorting techniques. You'll have a bunch of card, like for example, when Amazon in early days of Amazon, they had a they had started with the books, right? Only books category they were selling. After that, they started adding A to Z product. The Amazon was actually started with the book selling on the website. Flipkart came much later in India actually. Amazon was in US where the inception was with the books and all. When they started adding all the other categories itself, there was there was a confusion. Okay, which are the things, how to categorize all the categories they have. Okay, or the um, all the categories, I would say, or all the product in which particular category, right? If you have clothing, then maybe shoes would comes into clothing or somewhere else, or maybe a uh, particular product would come in home furniture or like industrial furniture, or which particular category, or the let's say your hair dryer would come in a beauty product, or it would come in an electronic product, right? There was a blur line in this, and there were multiple categories, right? So what they did is the cart sorting technique they use. They ask users only to sort them out in a way, like what category they feel this particular product should fit in. So for after the vast number of data, like they had a huge sample size, they came into conclusion, okay, this particular product, lot of users are actually think this is more in a certain category than the other category, so they put it in that particular way. So now when you go on Amazon or and see for any particular and you have to think about any particular product, you can directly search for that particular product, or maybe you can navigate through the categories they already have, and there are chances that you always land on a category that you also think it should be in. And now that has become a kind of a now it becomes like a common sense. Like at that particular time, it was not that common that you would see certain products in certain categories. Okay, now if you think, okay, this might look like a common sense, but the point of the story is like the card sorting actually helped them create these huge categories. Okay. Unmoderated plus remote. So session recording. Yeah. So because this is remote and unmoderated, you can ask your user to record the session, and or maybe you can record the session. You can add some plugins on your website. Like developer can help you with those plugins. and you can actually record some sessions, like record the clicks and the navigation of your mouse and everything that you can actually record. Okay, screen recording is also uh, one of the tool in a way. It uses software to record the action that real but anonymized people take on a website, such as mouse clicks, movement, and scrolling. Online testing tools and platform. There are variety of online testing tools that allow you to remotely observe users' behavior on your website. Yeah. For example, 5 second test, unmoderated card sorting, and first click. 5 second step is like you only give 5 seconds. We have seen this like a 5 second step. Like 5 second step is like you just show something for a 5 second and then you directly ask question. Okay, so in 5 second, whatever they could observe, usually this is how uh, we also use our applications. That's what I was saying. Nobody reads everything that is on the screen. Okay. Unmoderated card sorting, like there are tools which basically online tools. You just give some queries to your audience and they just has to card sort it in a way. So the same way the card sorted can be done moderated, unmoderated as well, in person and remote as well. Okay. Unmoderated in person observation. The researchers watch but don't participate, acting as a sort of fly on the wall as participants run through a set of instructions in a lab. So basically, you will create a set of instructions and you can give it to your user, and user can screen share if it is no, this is in person. So user can actually is in with you in a lab and you can just watch them how they are booking a flight, booking hotel, making payment, going through a checkout process and all of those things. And that is what is called observation. Then eye tracking, these are again advanced tools are required. Analyze where users direct their attention when asked to complete a task. A machine can create heat map or movement pathway diagram. So eye tracking is basically a now that there are various types of eye tracking. The No, not the various types. There is eye tracking and there is a mouse tracking also. Okay, in mouse tracking, you actually track the mouse. Like your website always save this particular data, like how users mouse is going from where to where and all of those things. In how much time interval the mouse movement is there. Like let's say if there is a book button over here and I have come to this particular page and then after certain seconds I clicked on book button, that particular time interval is also and can give you the insight if user is able to perceive the data on the screen faster or it is taking more time and all of those things. So mouse tracker is also there, and there is a eye tracking system also where you can get uh, like this usually done in person because you required a eye tracking device. We had it in IIT. After that, I haven't seen it in Amazon. Like we usually don't do this eye tracking usability testing. But over there in IIT, we had a lab where we used to get our users and that gear you have to wear. And then wherever you look on the screen, it actually tracks your eye movement. And based on that movement, it provides you the heat map as well as a movement pathway diagram. So these are the tools basically to use to critically analyze how your users are using your particular app or website or a product. And then you can basically learn from that and you might create something better for them.